Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum dear students. In this session we will discuss polymers, biomolecules and their applications. Polymers is a large molecule that is made up by simple small chemical units. These simple small chemical units are known as monomers. Monomers have two or more active sites through which they form the covalent bond. For example, alkenes, adipic acid, glycol, vinyl chloride and phenols are acts as monomers, while ammonia, water, and ethanol are not monomers. The development of polymer chemistry began in 1920 when people started investigating rubber, cotton, etc. Polymers can be synthesized by addition reactions and condensation reactions. Addition reactions involve unsaturated compounds. For example, polyethylene is synthesized from the ethylene monomer via an addition reaction. Here, initiator is first heated to produce the radical. This radical will react with the ethylene to give another radical, and this radical will react with another molecule of the ethylene to give the long chain radicals, and such type of reactions terminated by the combination of these long chain radicals to produce the polymers. Here you can see long chain radicals combine together to form the long chain polymers. Homopolymers are the polymers which are made up of only one type of the monomers, for example, polyethylene, Teflon, polyvinyl chloride, etc. Polymers can be classified on the basis of structure, isotactic structure in which R group is arranged on same side of the asymmetric carbon atoms, while in syndiotactic it is arranged alternatively, and while in atactic R groups are disposed at random positions. True hydrocarbon polymer found in nature, it is formed by the radical addition. Here isoprene polymerized to give the cis isoprene or polytrans isoprene. It depends upon the reaction conditions. After the World War II, USA focused on the production of the synthetic rubber, which is obtained from the byproduct from the petroleum products, and this synthetic rubber is known as elastomers. For example, chloroprene polymerized to give the polychloroprene, which is more efficient and have more application than the synthetic rubber. Copolymer is the polymer which has two or more different monomers. Here is the problem: how to synthesize either the isotactic or syndiotactic polymers selectively without having any impurities. The solution was given by an Italian scientist and a German scientist, Nata and Ziegler. Those demonstrated that certain catalysts, for example triethyl aluminum and titanium chloride, which promotes the formation of a specific isomers. Here is the list of some monomers and their common synthetic polymers. For example, ethylene, formula of ethylene, and polymer name and formula of polymer is polyethylene, and its use is in plastic, piping, bottles, electrical insulation, toys, propylene, polypropylene, packaging films, carpets, soft drinks, labwares, toys, etc. Condensation reaction, and one of the best condensation reaction of polymers is a hexamethylenediamine with adipic acid, and after condensation it will give the nylon 6-6. Another example of the condensation reaction is the synthesis of polyester, which are used in fibers, films, and plastic bottles. Biomolecules are molecules that occur naturally in living organisms, macromolecules like proteins, carbohydrates, lipids, and nucleic acids. Small molecules like primary and secondary metabolites. Classes of biomolecules: carbohydrates, lipids, proteins, nucleic acids. Number 1, carbohydrates. They are a good source of energy. Monosaccharides are simple sugars, while disaccharides are made up of two monosaccharides. Monosaccharides and disaccharides are sweet in taste, crystalline, and are water soluble, while polysaccharides are long chain sugars. They are not sweet, and complex carbohydrates, they are insoluble in water and are not in crystalline form. Examples of the carbohydrates: glucose, fructose, sucrose, maltose, etc. Lipids. They also hold large amount of energy. Lipids are present in biological membranes and are of three classes. Glycolipids are lipids whose head contains oligosaccharides, phospholipids whose contain negatively charged phosphate groups, sterols which head contain a steroid ring. Examples of lipids are oils, fats, phospholipids, glycolipids, etc. Proteins. Amino acids join together by the peptide bond which is formed between the carboxylic group and amino groups. There are four levels of the proteins: primary proteins, long chain arranged in particular sequence; secondary, long chain folded and arranged in a helix shape where amino acids interact by hydrogen bond; tertiary proteins, long peptide chains become more stabilized by folding and coiling by ionic or hydrophobic bonds and disulfide bridges. And quaternary proteins here assembly of more than one polypeptide or its subunits. Here are the examples of the proteins hemoglobin and choline. Here you can see how the intermolecular forces involved in protein molecules, that is the ionic forces. Here is the hydrogen bonding. C is the dispersion forces, and this D area shows the dipole forces. Here is a table of the 20 amino acids essential to living organisms. Nucleic acids. Nucleic acids are organic compounds with heterocyclic rings. These are made up of the nucleotides, and these which are made up of nitrogenous bases: adenine, guanine, thymine, cytosine, and uracil. Polymerized nucleotides form DNA and RNA, which are genetic materials. Adenine, guanine, cytosine, and thymine. Research in biomolecular materials. Harvesting of light, biological system inspiring to design synthetic material which is more efficient than the natural materials. Scientists are trying to synthesize membranes which mimic the natural photosynthesis. Fuels. Cellulose is a biological polymer and used as a feedstock of ethanol. Ethanol is used as a fuel which reduces the release of carbon dioxide in atmosphere. Collaborative research of chemistry, biochemistry, engineering will make it possible to convert renewable biomaterials, for example, cellulose, to useful fuels. Motors. Proteins transform chemical energy to mechanical energy. Now there is a hope to create synthetic system of similar efficiency and control. Clinical diagnosis. Biomolecular materials used to diagnose major diseases. For example, selective naked eye detection of COVID-19 mediated by an N gene targeted antisense oligonucleotide cap plasmonic nanomaterials. Biomaterials used in drug delivery. These nanomaterials promises as vehicles for the targeted delivery of payloads, for example RNA and DNA, to monitor such deliveries. Biomaterials are also used to design fabrication of prosthetic devices that involve in sensing and actuating. Now researchers prefer to design biological sensors. They are bound with targeted molecules. These can detect minute changes and are extraordinarily sensitive. Supermaterials. Biomolecular materials work in extraordinary conditions. For example, geckos work on ceiling and lotus leaves to be self-cleaning. Scientists are trying to synthesize improved materials for specific applications. Biomaterials sometimes seem to re-engineer themselves and adopt environmental conditions. Scientists and engineers may someday be able to develop new materials those mimic the ability to evolve and adapt. Chemical synthesis. Researchers successfully synthesize micromolecules, but currently problematic for macromolecules on large scale. And for material science, researchers must have the ability to synthesize, modify novel macromolecules with atomic level control. Thank you. Take care. Allah Hafiz.